All right. Good morning, Rob. How are you?
Oh boy.
All right, Angela, you're live. Your microphone is
Okay.
on. People are able to hear us. We have 1,200 participants on. Rob, can you hear us okay?
Jared, can you hear me?
I hear you fine. Looks like we have a little connectivity problem with Rob. Everybody on the webinar, we're just working out on a little technical issue right now, so just bear with us. We'll get the program started in just a moment.
How about now? Can you hear me?
You hear us okay? Rob, you hear us
I hear
okay?
you. Yes, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Sorry
You
about
got to
that.
start your video. There it is. Yep, no worries. All right, Angela, if you want to start your video.
Okay. Am I on?
There you go.
Okay.
You are on. All right, let's get it
Okay.
started. It's 11:05. Thank you, everybody, for your patience who have logged on. We've got over 1,300 participants so far. And Angela, I'll kick it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Angela Koli, President of New Jersey Realtors. Welcome all to our New Jersey Realtor members and our second webinar addressing unemployment with the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Today, we'll be focusing on the pandemic unemployment assistance that is available to independent contractors through the CARES Act. Thank you, Commissioner Robert Asaro Angelo and Assistant Commissioner Ron Marino for joining us today. We know you all have a lot of questions for our CEO, Jared Grosso, so he's going to take over and review the format of today's webinar. Thank you, Jared.
Thank you, President Angela. We're going to get started in just a moment. I just have a few housekeeping items for everybody. We've had over 3,000 people subscribe, so we're oversubscribed for this webinar. We've had over 800 questions come in prior to the webinar. We've tried to condense the questions as much as possible, try to scrub the questions because we can't ask specific personal information to the commissioner over a webinar. But what we tried to do is try to create questions that would answer your questions that aren't very specific, but if you listen to it, you're going to get the answers that you're looking for. So I want to let you know that you can still submit questions. I could see that we have over 100 questions coming in the Q&A chat box, and we'll try to get to those questions also. We'll also be putting up the FAQ link in the chat box, as well as links to our previous webinars and other resources that we have available to you. And if you haven't applied for the UI benefit and been denied yet, I strongly suggest that you use these resources to help guide you through the process. You can find everything that we have on njrealtor.com. You could also go to the Department of Labor's website. And with that, I will stop. And I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Robert Acero Angelo and Assistant Commissioner Ron Marino. I want to thank you both for being here today. As you know, we've got a lot of questions, and I'll let you guys make your opening statement. Thank you, Rob. There you go.
Sorry that. I'm sorry. Did you introduce me? I lost audio for a second.
Yes, Rob. I introduced you. You're all set.
Hi, everybody. Hello, Realtors.
You're on. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, Realtors. Thank you for having me again. A lot has changed since last time I saw you. Hopefully, a lot of you have gotten paid since last time I saw you. I know that a lot of you have. Today is Thursday, which is the day we release every week. New numbers updated for the state. And also today we're releasing the unemployment rate for last month. So clearly these are not great numbers. Our unemployment rate today is the highest it's ever been in New Jersey at 15.3%. Just 9 months ago, we were celebrating the lowest unemployment rate in New Jersey history. So it's been quite a turnaround that I know that all of you are feeling every single day. Additionally, we have 1.1 million unemployment claims in New Jersey. We've already paid out $3.4 billion to New Jersey workers across the state in their time of need. These are obviously tremendous numbers, but the numbers that we're focused on are the folks who have not been able to receive benefits yet and trying to cure them as much as possible to get them through. Now I know today's webinar is specifically about PUA, Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. For those of you that weren't on last time or might not know, to be eligible for PUA, you need to be completely ineligible for unemployment insurance. So our unemployment insurance program is set up in a way that workers and employers basically pay into it, basically pay premiums. And then in times of unemployment, they take out their insurance payments. The PUA process has been a little difficult for us to set up because folks who are eligible for it have not been paying into our system. We had no information on them for the most part. So we finally got up and running. I think our first payments went out 2 to 3 weeks ago. I know last week alone, or last week into this week, we've made an additional 149,000 people eligible for PUA. So I'm presuming a big chunk of the folks that are on this call have gotten emails from us last week, or we'll be getting them this week, starting today through Saturday to certify this upcoming Sunday. And that will bring us basically current on folks who filed for PUA or filed for unemployment who are PUA eligible up through mid-April. And then over the next weeks, we'll basically be
What's going on? Rob, I think we lost your connection there. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but I can't hear anything else. It's been shutting me down off and on for a while now.
Is that you, Ron?
Yes.
Okay. We lost Rob's feed right now. We're working on that. Rob, please look at the link below.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Rob,
This is
we
Rob.
got you now.
I can hear you.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. It keeps
Okay.
pushing me
Can
onto phone audio.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Rob. We got most of your opening statement. Some of it got broken up. I don't know if you want to just do a quick summary and then we'll start with the Q&A.
Quick summary was basically I said how high that unemployment rate is right now. We paid out $3.4 billion in benefits. All the PUA claims started getting processed. I think we're in our third week of processing PUA claims, maybe fourth at this point. Folks who filed, who are eligible for PUA, if they put their initial claim in by April 12th, I believe, they received emails from us last week. And then we're going forward from here on out, week by week, from that point forward. And we're hoping to get caught up with all folks who filed, who are eligible for PUA by the next week or the week after. So definitely keep an eye out for in your email inbox. Check your spam folders. I think the email is UI, do not reply, or something to that effect. We've actually started notifying folks via text message if we don't have an email from them, trying to make sure we get the word out to everybody that we can that they're eligible for benefits now.
Great. Thank you, Rob. Do you mind if we just go right into the questions?
Sure.
All right. So the first question we have is a common question. Can you please explain the $231 payment, the time frame for those to be adjusted, and whether or not they should appeal the amount? So that initial minimum payment, Rob.
So basically, people are receiving the minimum payment, well, for many reasons. Maybe that might be the right payment for them if they're earning a certain amount under the minimum. But also in the order to process claims quicker and to get money into folks' hands quicker. Again, remember, if you were like a regular employee on a W-2, we already have all your income information and we can make your benefit determinations ourselves. For the PUA universe, for the most part, we need information from you. So rather than waiting for your appointment, a monetary appointment, to start paying on your claim, and getting you that additional $600, we decided to pay everybody the minimum plus the $600 while we're waiting for your appointment, essentially, your monetary appointment. At that point, but you also, I'm sorry, you don't even need an appointment. Most folks will get an email from e-adjudication asking them for documentation for their correct income. And then at that point, it will be adjusted based on the information that you submit to us. I'm going to let Ron Marino correct me if I was wrong there on anything or any more details on that front. But that's the reasoning why folks are getting that amount now.
Yeah, Rob Marino, that is correct. And, we wanted to get the money into the hands of the people as fast as we possibly could. And since we didn't have any wage record information to do this, we decided to take the minimum that the state of New Jersey is permitted, which is under the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program, which is the $231. And also the $600 additional benefits.
And there are some folks who we do have information from Treasury, and those folks in that first round got what is theoretically the actual amount that they are due if we had information from Treasury on them.
All
right. And as a follow-up question, what exactly, when they have to recertify after they get to 231, you're asking for additional information. What should they be prepared to provide to the Department of Labor?
I'll let Ron take that one.
Yeah, we're going to, things get settled, we're going to be sending out a communication to all of the PUAers that are getting the $231. And we're going to ask them to provide us what, in fact, is their net income for 2019, so then we can do a recalculation of exactly what the weekly benefit rate should be. If, in fact, that it gets increased, what we will do is go back to the first week that they did the certification and, provide an additional funding just to make everything come out properly. And going forward through the process, they'll have their new weekly benefit rate amount.
Okay, thank you, Ron. So the next question is, I'm getting emails to certify for benefits, but the amount is $0. Should I be certifying the $0 amount?
No. If the weekly base rate is showing 0, that means you cannot certify yet. I'm guessing this is somebody, if they are an eligible PUAer who applied after April 12th. Once that money amount, once there is an amount in that field, likely to be 231 at some point, then they can claim. The claim is then valid and payable, and they'll be able to claim back from the date of the claim forward once that dollar amount shows up.
Okay. So the next question I have, well, it's kind of a continuation. If I don't certify my $0 UI benefit, will I be disqualified for PUA? And the answer is no.
No, that's correct. You will not be disqualified.
Okay. So the next question is, I received the email that my PUA is ready to be claimed, but I can't get through to certify. What do I do?
It's hard to figure out what they mean by not able to get through to certify. There has been a couple things. One, the certification windows are based on your Social Security number, so make sure you're checking that window schedule, which is on the website. Over the past couple weeks, there have been a couple outages here and there, but usually it happens at the top of the window when everyone is going to claim at the same time. But those have been intermittent. There's also times in the schedule where anybody can file, or claim, when anybody can claim. So look at our schedule and figure out, one, your specific time frame for your Social Security number, but also keep an eye on when there's openings for anybody to claim, because there's definitely, again, there's been intermittent outages, but for the most part, we're running at 96%, the website being up and ready to take certifications.
Okay, thank you, Rob. So can a member collect both PPP and PUA at the same time?
No. If someone is collecting PPP, that means they would be ineligible. Anyone receiving money for PPP is considered employed for that period. After the PPP is exhausted, if they're still not working, then they can file for UI or PUA. And just so you know, the $600 supplement, the FPUC, is only payable to those that qualify for a UI or PUA payment.
Okay, so just to be clear, the $600, that PUC chunk of money that is allocated is only tied to the PUA money. So they would not be able to receive the PUC money if they don't qualify for the PUA money, if they're part of that PPP program.
Right, I guess what I'm saying is you only get the $600 if you're collecting PUA or UI. You can't, there's no way to just get the $600.
Okay. Great, thank you. All right, how should a commission payment be reported during the time they are, how can a commission payment be reported during the time they are receiving should be receiving PUA? So I'm still in the field, I'm working, I'm a realtor. I finally received a commission payment, took me months to receive. What do I do?
The reporting of the commission, they should report the commission as income when the payment is received, regardless of when the work was done. So it should be reported under earnings and not self-employment. So basically, what I was explaining before about how our system is set up is that our system is set up for wage earners, essentially. Now that we have this new universe in there, we need to treat that income as wages. So you put that under earnings and not under self-employment.
Okay. So the system only allows a person to put in $999 when they're claiming their commission for that week. What happens if they make more than $999?
I would think at that point it wouldn't matter because they'll be ineligible, but I'll let Ron answer that.
Yeah, basically, the amount of money that they're showing for that particular week, it is structured so as not to have more than that. So, they can attempt to do that. They can put $999 in, and it's not going to have an impact because we'll catch up to that later on in order to make the determination of the increase in the weekly benefit rate.
Okay, thank you, Ron. As a follow-up, those people who do claim a commission are getting a follow-up email about that commission with questions they don't know how to answer, like pay rate and how they get paid, i.e. weekly, annually, monthly. How do they answer those questions?
I'm definitely going to let Ron take that answer.
Yeah. Obviously, again, the system is geared more towards an individual with wage record earnings as opposed to anything else. When you're talking about getting commission, the commission is when you're being paid on that particular amount of the commission on it. So basically, they should be putting that down as a weekly.
And again, I'm not trying to pass blame for the complicatedness of this, but I will say that our system is set up to verify wages on a weekly or biweekly basis, which is another wrinkle for the whole PUA universe. That obviously not all of you report your income on a weekly or biweekly basis. And that's something that we're still waiting to hear from the U.S. Department of Labor on how we're going to verify earnings when some people report quarterly or monthly or whatever else, that our systems aren't set up to verify that way. So I appreciate everyone's patience with us as we're going through this process and learning together, quite frankly.
Thank you, Commissioner. So does claiming a commission make their coming weeks ineligible? So until they reach that commission amount? So here's an example. Someone that claims $2,000 in commission and is getting $231 a week from the PUA program. Will they have to wait 8 weeks to claim another week of unemployment or the PUA? So they kind of catch up to that $2,000 commission check?
I think not. I'm pretty sure not, but I'll let Ron confirm that.
Yeah, they would, they would not be held in suspense for the 8 weeks until that is caught up. They should still continue to file their weekly benefits, and we'll catch up to that at a later date.
Okay, thank you, Ron. My next question was, I was denied for UI, and I'm waiting to be contacted about PUA. What's the new time frame right now?
It would depend on when they had filed. So as I said, as of last week or this week, we're caught up through mid-April, April 12th. And so again, so just think about it every week going forward from there, they will be contacted. And again, I want to be very, very clear that they will be able to collect benefits from the time they had claimed and became unemployed.
Great. If I received an email or a form telling me to certify my $0 claim, but I am still waiting for PUA, what do I have to do right now?
I think nothing until they hear from us, but I'll let Ron confirm that, please.
Absolutely correct. Really, you do nothing until that dollar amount appears and is shown into the weekly benefit rate field. So you do nothing until that shows up. It's basically getting processed. And these take a bit of a while to get done and get processed. So you do nothing until that dollar amount shows.
Okay, thank you. And I think this is a good question because right now there's a lot of scams that we've been seeing out in the field. So people are asking about the process. Will I only be emailed, or does the notification come through the mail as well? Or what about text messages, or all three? Can you guys kind of clarify that?
They will mail and email our normal course of communication. We are starting to text today, That's only to folks who I believe we don't have an email for. So there should not be any text coming from us yet about anything. We might start using text this weekend only about certification, to remind people about their certification window. We'll never be asking for anyone's information via text, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you. If I receive an error notice, even though I believe I've certified correctly, what are my next steps?
Well, I mean, the next step is still to speak to an agent. However, part of the new processing we've done is to basically push forward folks who have made certification errors or answered adversely. I mean, it might not be an error. It might be a truthful answer. Might just make it an adverse answer for our certification process. So now on a weekly basis, we're going to be pushing through folks who've certified, who answered a question incorrectly on the certification, and pushing them through to basically, and to be available to certify again the next week. And they'll be getting an email from us about that when that occurs.
Okay, great. My claim is giving me a dollar value, but it says it's still pending. Should I be doing something else? What are my next steps?
I'll let Ron correct me if I'm wrong, but if it still says pending, that means it's still waiting to be reviewed by an agent and entered into our system. And maybe Ron can talk about some of the reasons why somebody might be pending when they have a dollar amount there.
Yeah, again, it depends on the reason why the claim is pending. If it's for a non-mon issue, you know, we will adjudicate the issue and try to resolve it ourselves. You know, we're doing a review of all of those that do say that they're still pending, determine if the payment can issue while we're waiting to adjudicate the case. So basically, if it does still say that it's pending, we're going to take a look at that, and if we can make a payment, make a 231 payment, we'll make that so the money can get into the hands of the people, plus that $600, while we go through the process of doing the adjudication of it.
Okay, great.
And again, we'll notify the claimant with regards to, you know, if it is in payment status, you know, we'll notify them really what the next steps are going to be that they'll need in order to claim their benefits, the right amount of benefits.
Okay, thank you, Ron. So I received a "we cannot process your request at this time" message after trying to certify a $0 benefit from regular UI in anticipation of POA. Is there something wrong, or is it they need to do something? What's their next step?
They don't need to do anything until they get the email from us that their PUA is ready.
Right.
Okay. The certification form is geared towards W-2 employees, which is what we've been talking about. Is there any guidance on how to answer those questions as an independent contractor, i.e. commission payments, working, you know, hours worked, so on and so forth? Or what do you suggest?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you for that question, because I think we talked about this before, Jared, that we're all learning this together. And so a lot of these forums I'm doing, whether it be with you or other organizations, or the calls we're getting or the emails we're getting, are sort of like a permanent feedback loop about some of the issues. I know we had put out a step-by-step guide for independent contractors and self-employed on applying and claiming benefits, but I don't know that we have one specifically for certifying benefits. So maybe we need to do a separate one for that, but the answer will still be the same as a regular certification. But the important thing for independent contractors, as I mentioned before, is to enter any earnings as employment, not under the self-employment question. So for PUA purposes, any income is considered earnings. So if it's entered as self-employment income, it could cause a delay. I'm sure it's happening for many of the folks. And again, this is sort of that sticky issue we're having with the U.S. Department of Labor and how we certify earnings on a system that's based on weekly and biweekly earnings that we're still trying to work out together with all of you.
Right. And Rob, I'm assuming that this issue is not just New Jersey specific. This is across the country. People are having that issue when applying for the POA benefit.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
The basis of the certification questions are the same everywhere. Those are the ones that, if you watched our press conference last week, I sort of talked about how we don't have any leeway in that, even though we've been asking and begging for. We got a memo recently, last Tuesday, from the U.S. Department of Labor that the weekly certification questions are still mandatory. In the past, and as you know, I used to work for the U.S. Department of Labor. When I was there, it would drive me crazy that we would if anybody did something wrong at one of our states or something we funded, we'd send them a letter, and then we'd send them another letter. So normal times I would say, oh, let's just do this. I'll get a letter. Who cares? But with the CARES Act, there's billions of dollars of funding on the table, and we had to sign a separate contract with the federal government to implement CARES Act, which specifically talks about following the USDOL guidelines on certification. Then that memo from last week again was reminding us again not to be too lenient on anything, or we put all the billions of dollars at risk for our state and for your members. So I know that while it's frustrating, I can't express enough that anybody who makes that mistake will be made whole if they were eligible those weeks through our processes. But again, just really please try to read the step-by-step guide we have online, or print it up, or have it open in another window, so you know what different answers mean for the different questions.
Right. Thank you, Rob. So this is kind of a long question, but this is something that we're seeing a lot. Can you clarify working for independent contractors? Many of our members are still either showing homes or marketing for new listings. So when they certified weekly, it asks, have you worked in the past week? How should they be answering that specific question?
I'm going to let Ron take that one, because I don't want to say something wrong.
The issue is, if you say that I have worked in the past week, that's going to consider you to be in a status where we need to have a discussion with you, because why are you claiming benefits if in fact you're saying that you're working during that particular week? So basically, even though we try to tell people, when you're taking a look at that, try to be realistic and really try to go in and say, look, while you may be working, it's really not really considered to be working. So really you should be answering it in the no pattern.
So Ron, just to be clear then, because they do work many hours throughout the week without earning a commission check, they should check off that right. They are not working for this sake. And when they get the commission check, that's when they say, this is the money that I received. So therefore.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. That's a very, thank you for answering that question, Ron and Rob. There have been many questions about what filing claims statuses mean. Can you please explain like the whole terminology? You have pending, you have filed, you have denied, you have invalid. And obviously it's a new world for many of my realtor members.
It's a new world for a lot of people. I mean, that's been one of the I don't say this in a negative way, but one of the things that's been causing a lot of problems is that so many folks are filing for the first time. In normal times, especially 7 months ago, we had record low unemployment. The folks who were filing were likely to be folks that had filed for unemployment at some point before in their lives. And so now you have folks who have never filed before. And just to be very clear, I'm the Commissioner of Labor, and I'm learning new things about this process every single day, because it is not an easy process. And it's just how it is, and it's how it was quite frankly meant to be. But on some of and just so you know, we are trying to, now that we've sort of gotten through the programming, the CARES Act, when it came out, it was all effective immediately. So we had to stand up all these programs, including PUA, like right away, which is not an easy thing to do, quite frankly, with all the new program that had to go into it. So we had PUA stood up. We had the $600 payment stood up. Today I'll be announcing that folks who had exhausted benefits before will now be able to claim their extended benefits as part of the CARES Act. So those are the three major programming issues we had to get done to complete for our unemployment system. Now that we've gotten through those to get the money out the door, we're going to be focusing more on trying to make our system more user-friendly. And we might not be able to change the actual applications being used, but we do have ways to communicate better with folks separately and sending informative emails, like I said, text messages. So one of the things we are working on now is trying to make it easier for folks to understand what they're seeing when they look at their claim. So as Ron mentioned before, pending means their claim is waiting to be reviewed by an agent and entered into our system. And it doesn't necessarily, and in normal times, that would mean they might need to talk to somebody. But when you have 1.1 million claimants, we know it's not going to happen. So many of these processes have been automated. And for the most part, even when you're not talking to somebody, that we're taking care of your claim behind the scenes in an automated process, or we literally have dozens of folks in our UI offices basically going through by hand each of these claims and figuring out what is wrong with it and what information we need, or just pushing it through themselves. Their fingers move very fast on the keyboards. Filed means the claim has been entered into our system. So basically, the average time it takes for somebody when they claim for the first time to being processed into the system is the median time is 6 days. And then from there, most folks are getting paid, 97% are getting paid in 2 to 3 weeks. Now that's the regular UI universe, but once we get caught up with PUA in a couple weeks, that'll be the same for the PUA universe. Denied means the determination has been entered, ruling the claimant not eligible for benefits, which is, as many of you know, the first part of being eligible for PUA. And invalid means they do not meet the monetary requirements to have a valid UI claim. So these claims will qualify for the PUA minimum of $231 per week.
Great. Now, and I guess as a follow-up to the terminology that's being used, a lot of people are receiving a message, your claim is not payable at this time when trying to certify. How do they move past that?
So this is the most common question that we get. And I think, so first of all, for the PUA claimants, if they're going and certifying on that $0, that's why. But again, but just think about the timeline. We should be good through April 12th. People applying after that should be coming online week by week. I just saw a spreadsheet of about 65,000 PUA folks who'll be getting an email from us over the next few days. So the numbers of folks being newly eligible every week in the PUA universe is humongous. But that usually means that you've answered one of the certification questions adversely. Or, this really doesn't affect the PUA universe, but other folks, it might mean they exhausted their benefits, or for some other reason they were ineligible at that point for UI.
Gotcha. So does a member have to have their 2019 taxes filed in order to qualify for the PUA program?
No.
They could use 2018 as a proof of income, Rob, or what would they have to show?
Well, they'll be paid the minimum until they can provide proof of income or earnings. But I'll let Ron finish me up on that process.
Yeah, basically, they're going to get to, if in fact we don't have information about the 2019 income that they had, they're going to get the PUA claim, and that's going to be at the 231 amount, which is the minimum amount that we do. Later on, them are going to be going and asking with regards to, what in fact were the earnings, and we need to get that information so that we can validate the fact that their weekly benefit rate at 231 really should be going up, since that was considered to be the minimum. Then if the employer, if the individual cannot come up with that, then we have to have a bit of a discussion and a conversation, and so insofar as finding out what that story is, because basically difference between obviously the wage record having in place, and they be there for us to take a look at to validate. We need to go through the validation process with the PUA, because as everybody knows, when you're dealing with an awful lot of claims, I recall during the recession in 2008 and so forth, on it, we had half of what the claim load is that we have now during the recession. And there was an awful lot of people that were improperly being paid because they were basically being fraudulent in submitting claim loads and those kinds of things. PUA is a different story because we have nothing to go by to take a look at. And the USDOL says we have to do our due diligence insofar as validating the fact that there is an individual there. It is their Social Security number. We know who they are. They are a self-employed or independent contractor, and getting all of that self-certification, and then eventually coming up with what the earnings records are, so that we can confirm what the actual weekly benefit rate is.
All right, thank you, Ron. Now, Rob, I do recall that you had a hard out at 11:45. I don't know if your schedule changed for today. I know that Ron was going to stay on.
Let's go 1150. I feel bad about the technical difficulties in the beginning.
Wow. Thank you, and we'll see you later on the governor's press conference, I'm sure. So,
Yeah.
What happens if a member receives the $231 per week and understands it will be adjusted in the future, but cannot get back into the system to certify the additional weeks of retro pay?
I lost it. So they received the 231. They know it'll be adjusted in the future. I lost you after that.
So what's happening is that they know that they're going to get their 231, but they also have to go back to kind of recertify to get the additional pay, but they're not able to get back into the system. So what is their recourse if they can't get back into the system?
I'm not sure what the specific reason would be about not getting back into the system, but if they didn't claim all weeks, they should be able to go back online and pick up where they left off. If weeks were skipped or no longer appear when they're claiming, an agent will have to review to fix it for sure. I'm also wondering if they had some kind of password or PIN reset issue about not being able to get into the system. I'm not sure what that would be. I don't know if Ron has any more color on that.
Yeah, the thing is this, that you filed a claim in April, and you're only able to certify for benefits starting in May. We're going to know that there's a difference between the timeline that you filed that unemployment claim and the timeline in which you only started doing the certifications. So when we see that gap that's going to be in there, that's when the dust settles, that's when our agent is going to be going back and checking in with that claimant to find out, so what is the story? Were you able to certify for the benefits? Was it something you filed and you really didn't get laid off, you didn't have any separation until May? Or is it in fact that no, the situation was in April and they were just unable to do the certification for whatever reason? Then their agent will go back in, open it up in order for the individual to certify for benefits. And that'll all happen. But basically what we've been finding is that people were missing that time frame for whatever particular reason they were missing it. And there are other opportunities, other bites of the apple in order for them to do the certification on it. If in fact, again, there's a gap in there, we'll work with the claimant in order to fill that gap.
So I guess the key, Ron, is for waiting for that a contact from the Department of Labor, which may take some time, but they'll eventually get contacted by the Department of Labor and they'll work through the claim.
That's correct.
Hey, real quick, Jared, I did gotta go. I did look at the Q&A real quick. I saw a couple ones on here I would like to answer.
Go for it.
Because I think they're common questions. One is from somebody saying, I received an email saying my claim is now eligible for payment of PUA. I had to sign in tomorrow morning. My question is the PUA officially funded or is this a hope and a dream? It is not a hope and a dream. The PUA is funded. I think there was some confusion because folks heard about the SBA money running out or other federal programs running out. There is no such problem with any unemployment money, whether it be the UI Trust Fund or the PUA program. We're not going to run out of funds. That part's good. Secondly, I saw a question on here. I know that we're hearing a lot from folks in the independent contractor world that they received unemployment, they received a payment, but it was based on their W-2 wages they might have, not their maybe much higher independent contractor income. Unfortunately, the CARES Act was written very specifically that PUA is only accessible if you are not eligible for any unemployment. So if you are unemployed and you have W-2 earnings of an amount that makes you eligible for unemployment, that is going to be what your unemployment payments are based on. And we don't have any leeway on that. You can't choose PUA over UI if you are eligible for UI. But I'll let you go. One more question, Jared, before I got to go.
Okay. Do I have to reapply if I have a commission? I stopped receiving the certification emails after they received the commission.
I'll let Ron take that one.
Okay. Could you say that again?
The question is, do I have to reapply if I have a commission? I guess this individual stopped receiving certification emails after they received a commission check.
If they received a commission check, it's probably because, and you said they received a commission check. So they were collecting 231 previously, and now and now they have an amount which they need to report once they get that particular amount in order for them to continue with the certification process.
But to be clear, we don't know they received that check, so I don't think the two things are related.
All right, so there might just be a breakdown where they're just not receiving the emails.
Right.
So I think, and also I think this is after they so to be clear, this is after they certified that they received that commission check. So 1 week they got the 231. The following week they received the commission check, so they certified that they got the commission check.
Amount.
Now they're not receiving any communications from the commission.
I'll let Ron correct me, but maybe the confusion is when folks became eligible for PUA, they got an email from us to start certifying. I do not think they get an email every week thereafter to remind them to certify. That's basically the email is to let them know the process can start. They still need to go on themselves and certify every week. Is that right, Ron? We don't send out emails every week to people.
That's correct.
Right.
That actually probably clarifies a lot, because I think people are still expecting to have that communication from the Department of Labor, where that initial email sets up everything, and after that initial email goes through, it's up to the individual independent contractor to go back into the site.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Jared, thank you very much for having me again. Thank you, Realtors, for all that you do. I know we'll try to answer some of these questions offline for you to share with the group.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate the time. We'll look for you today at the press conference. I know you have a lot on your plate, and I know that you're doing everything you can to help the state of New Jersey and get these PUA payments out to our members. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jared. Thanks, everybody, for all you do.
Ron, are you going to stick with us for a few minutes? Thank you. Ron, are you sticking with us for a few minutes, or you got to get going too? Ron, are you still there? Well, it looks like we lost both. So with that, New Jersey Realtors, I hope you found this informative. I'm sorry for the compressed time frame. Just so you know, this is going to be recorded. I know that we had a lot of questions whether or not this is going to be recorded. This is going to be recorded. It will be made available to you sometime this afternoon, if not sooner. So you could go back and watch the answers. We'll be updating our FAQs and get that out and up on our website as fast as possible. So, and I just want to remind everybody, my staff and I, we are not experts in PUA claims or unemployment claims. So you could send us your emails. Most likely, we're going to have to direct you over to the FAQs, because that's what we have to rely upon. I hope you bear with us. This is something we're all learning. It's a new process, but the key for everybody is please stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll be communicating with you as much as possible through this pandemic. Thank you, everyone. Angela, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I hope that most of your questions were answered. And again, if you have further questions, just send them in and we'll try to get them answered for you. Thank you.